The Shadow of the Lighthouse, Layla's story. My name is Layla, and I want to tell you my story. I live in a small, salt-kissed town called Brighton Bay, tucked away on the coast of New York, not far from the towering skyline of New York City. It is a place of quiet contrasts, calm, winding streets lined with cozy cafes and the perpetual rhythmic roar of the Atlantic waves crashing nearby. I am 29 years old, and for the last few years, I've worked as a receptionist at a boutique hotel perched right near the dunes. Life was simple. Some people in the city might have called it boring, but I cherished the predictability. I had a few loyal friends, a modest apartment filled with books, and a routine that felt like a suit of armor. I wasn't looking for love. After a string of exhausting, hollow relationships in my early 20s, I had convinced myself that solitude was a sanctuary. I told myself it was better to stay alone than to be misunderstood. But as they say in Brighton Bay, the tide doesn't ask permission to change, it just does. And that change arrived in the form of a man named Michael. The arrival. Michael arrived at the hotel on a Tuesday for a business trip. From the moment he walked through the lobby doors, he seemed different from our usual corporate guests. He was calm, remarkably polite, and carried a subtle weight of exhaustion in his shoulders. He had soft, observant eyes, a gentle smile that didn't quite reach his ears, and a voice so quiet it forced you to lean in. When he checked in, he thanked me with a level of sincerity that felt startlingly personal. I noticed the way he looked at me, not with the predatory gaze I had grown used to in the past, but with a genuine kindness. Without even realizing it, I found myself smiling back. The next morning, he came down to the lobby, not to complain about the Wi-Fi or the coffee, but to ask for directions. I told him where the locals went for the best espresso, which stretch of the beach remained undisturbed by tourists, and which seafood shacks served the best calamari. He listened. He didn't just hear the words, he truly listened. Most people don't do that anymore. 2 weeks in the sun. Over the next 2 weeks, our brief interactions blossomed into something deeper. Every evening after his meetings in the city were finished, he would return to the hotel and find me at the desk. We would chat for minutes that turned into hours. Eventually, those lobby chats turned into walks along the shoreline. We sat on the weathered wooden benches near the lighthouse, talking about our favorite books, our wildest dreams, and the philosophy of life. He spoke of the crushing stress of his high-stakes job in the city, the noise and the feeling of being a cog in a machine. I told him about my quiet life here, my love for the sea, and the peace I found in the mundane. With him, I felt seen. I felt heard. One night, while the stars mirrored themselves in the dark water and a soft breeze carried the scent of salt, he turned to me and whispered, "Being with you feels like peace." Those words took root in my heart. That was the night I began to fall. The secret revealed. When his 2 weeks ended, he returned to the city, but the connection didn't sever. We exchanged messages every hour. We spent our nights on the phone until the sun began to peek over the horizon. I missed him with an intensity that terrified me. A month later, he came back to Brighton Bay. This time, he didn't stay at the hotel. He rented a small, secluded house near the harbor and invited me over. We cooked pasta together, listened to old jazz records, and danced in the dimly lit kitchen. It felt as though we had known each other for a lifetime. I felt like the luckiest woman in New York. But then the atmosphere shifted. One evening, as we sat on the velvet couch with mugs of tea, Michael became uncharacteristically solemn. He took a long, shaky breath and looked at his hands. "Layla, I need to tell you something," he said. My heart hammered against my ribs. "I'm married," he whispered, his eyes fixed on the floor, "and I have 2 children." The world seemed to stop spinning. My body went cold. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even breathe. He tried to explain how he hadn't planned for this, how his marriage had been a hollow shell for years, how he stayed only for the sake of the children. His voice was thick with sadness, but the words felt like lead. I stood up, walked out into the freezing night air, and didn't look back. The choice. For a week, I was a ghost. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't focus at work, and I stared at my phone until my eyes burned. He sent message after message. I wanted to be angry, but the loneliness was louder than the rage. When we finally met again on the beach, I told him how much he had hurt me. He didn't offer excuses. He only said, "I care about you more than I can say." And I stayed. I chose to stay. I knew it was wrong. I knew the world would label me the other woman, but I wanted to believe that this was temporary, that he would eventually choose me, that he would leave the life that made him miserable. We began a secret life. He visited once or twice a month, staying in that little harbor house. It was a life of shadows. We never went to dinner, we never held hands in the park, and we took no photos. It was just us, trapped in a beautiful, silent house. He made me feel special, yes. He remembered my favorite flowers and brought me books I had mentioned months prior, but deep down, the rot was setting in. I realized I wasn't his partner, I was his escape. I was the part of his life that didn't have problems. The slow fading. Slowly, the old Layla began to disappear. I stopped seeing my friends because I had to be available in case he called. I stopped going to my favorite cafes because I was afraid of being seen with him. My world, once vast and peaceful, had shrunk to the size of a smartphone screen and a rented house. I became tired, not the kind of tired sleep can fix, but a soul-deep exhaustion. I realized he never left a single footprint in my real life. No toothbrush at my apartment, no clothes in my closet, no mention of my name to his friends. I was a secret, and secrets eventually become burdens. One night after he left to go back to his real life, I sat by the window and watched the rain blur the lights of the harbor. I asked myself, what am I waiting for? I was waiting for a man who could only give me fragments of his time. I had dreams of a home, a partner who would walk beside me in the daylight, and a life built on truth. The breaking point. My friend Nina was the only one who knew. She told me bluntly, "Layla, you are living in a shadow. You deserve to be someone's first choice, not their hidden treasure." When Michael came back next, I was different. I was quiet. When he asked what was wrong, I finally found my voice. "I can't do this anymore, Michael. I'm living your life, not mine. I'm always waiting, and I'm tired of being second." He tried to pull me back with the same old promises, but when I asked the final question, "Will you choose me?" his silence was the only answer I needed. He couldn't leave his children, he said. I understood, but I also understood that by staying, I was abandoning myself. "I hope you find peace," I told him, and I watched him walk out of my life for the last time. The long road back. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. The silence was deafening. I missed his voice, his smell, the way he made me feel for those few hours. I cried until I had no tears left. But slowly, the fog began to lift. I started going back to my local bookstore. I reconnected with Nina and spent my weekends laughing until my stomach ached. I enrolled in a creative writing class at the community center, something I had always wanted to do but didn't have time for when I was waiting for Michael. It was in that class that I met David. David was different. He didn't have the mysterious, brooding aura that Michael had. He was straightforward, kind, and his laughter was infectious. We started as friends, sharing coffee after class and discussing our assignments. One evening, as we sat on the same bench near the lighthouse where I once sat with Michael, I told David everything. I told him about the secret, the waiting, and the pain. I told him I never wanted to be a secret again. David looked me in the eyes, his expression unwavering. "Thank you for trusting me," he said, "and I want you to know I'm not a man who hides things he cares about." Finding the light. It has been a year since I said goodbye to the shadows. David and I take things slow, but every step is taken in the light. We hold hands on the boardwalk, we take photos at the harbor, and he knows my friends as well as I know his. I realize now that love shouldn't feel like a heavy weight you carry in the dark. It should feel like coming home. It should feel like the sun on your face after a long, cold winter. I don't regret meeting Michael. He was the mirror that showed me how much I was willing to settle for, and he was the reason I finally learned to demand more. I found myself in the wreckage of that relationship, and in finding myself, I opened the door for a love that I truly, deeply deserve. Now, when I stand by the ocean in Brighton Bay, I don't feel like I'm waiting for the tide to come in. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, strong, whole, and finally visible.